But you know in Florida, you know what happens when you dig out a hole and add water, right? You get a creature called alligators. It would have been infested. So outside this wall would have been a 40-foot wide moat. It was about 5 feet deep, filled with water from the river or the bay. The Spanish had logs that could let water on either side. So you know it's infested with alligators, you know it's infested with mosquitoes and another creature called water moccasins. And I don't mean shoes, I'm talking aggressive snakes. So half a mile this way, then this wall went nearly a mile, 9 blocks to the right. Same thing, water all the way down. So the original city's only 22 blocks. That was it. That's the original city. And let me let that car go. It's they're VIP. Yeah. Well, we gotta be careful. There's a glitch right there. Don't let him board the trolley. Do not let him board that trolley. He'll try to. That's the glitch. So the original city is only 22 blocks. The only way to enter this city was through the gate down here. And that's the authentic real gate. That's in 1808. They built this out of rock. Coquina, like the Ford, same material. Coquina, all it is compressed limestone and marine lime. All this. If you look at the rocks closely, you'll see little baby seashells. It had big wooden gates on it originally. If you were not in this gate by sunset, you weren't coming in the city. I'm sorry, you had to wait till sunrise. Daughters of the American Revolution actually protested right here to the left. This is in 1908. They saved the gate. I mean, that gate was going to be destroyed. The city wanted to widen it, make it for cars, so cars could drive down here. But they must have served some good tea and cookies. Here's St. George right here. It's right. Oldest wooden schoolhouse right there to your right. That old cedar cypress building. 236 years. That schoolhouse has been service. Let me stop here. Now this is number 4. Let me tell you about this. Now this is the top side of St. George, so Dizzy finished the water ball. And this man here, he actually sells tickets to every attraction. And by the way, at 12 o'clock, which is in 3 minutes, the distillery's open 12 to 7, free tours. Free samples. Now that's open to 7 p.m., so that's a good thing to come back and check out later, okay? Now they have moonshine, they got bourbon, they got rum, they got vodka, stuff like that. And it's all craft. Looks like we're good. Someone ring the bell. Alright, there's the bell. We're rolling. Nobody else on our up, so remain seated. We're rolling. Let me roll that here. Same thing, there's no smoking, vape, or consumption of alcohol on board. Now the fort across the street is an 10 Spanish fort. A lot of people, they had 9 wooden forts from the time Pedro Menendez landed here. But we were attacked by pirates, 22 attacks. We had 22 attacks. We were burned to the ground 10 times. So the Queen Mariana, this is 1668. The last pirate attack was Robert Searle. He shows up here, 60 people left dead in the street, devastates the city. So the Queen said, guys, stop using wood. I need you to find something other than wood. And they did. They found that rock across the island in Anastasia State Park. There's a little quarry there called the King's Quarry. Now, because we are the most attacked city in North America by pirates, if you look to your right, we have actually 800 real pirate artifacts on display. Ah! Yeah, everybody say R for me, please. Everybody help me. Ah! You see the kids are looking at it, it's like, we're crazy, huh? Yeah, now there's actually 800 real pirate artifacts. There's one I wouldn't call real, but if you ever heard of Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp delivered his sword in there as he just up his gun with Jack Sparrow. Let's see if he's going to let me in here, maybe not. Thank you, sir. We got to pull in here, this little trolley stuff. So what this is here, it's a free event for children, families. They actually have everything from the colonial days. And I don't know if you know this, do you know tonight we have what's called Night Watch? Have you ever heard of that? It's 7 o'clock tonight, and I'm going to tell you, it's spectacular. And the fort, because you're kidding, they're going to march from the fort down to the governor's house, dressed up in military. It's going to be like the 1740 military operation when they're guarding the city called Night Watch. So they're going to be walking, they're going to march free. They're going to light torches, they're going to have muskets, real muskets, not fake ones. They're going to walk down together, 100, over 100, at least 100, maybe more, dressed up from the 7 exact, the reenactment soldiers. And it's really interesting. They're going to go down St. George in military formation. And then when they get to the governor's house, they're going to shoot the cannons and have a celebration. But every year, it's cold, it goes kind of slow, but this year, this was the biggest year they've had in a long time, because everybody's come back. They got everyone wants to be in. The British soldiers, the Spanish soldiers, and the soldiers from Port Moise, which was our first legally sanctioned duplex settlement. How you doing, sir? You guys for the trolley? Yeah, find you a good seat anywhere you can. All the seats are the best seats on this trolley, except the one right behind me. And mine too. I would call it the best seat. much. Yeah, welcome. Oh, by the way, the Cornell Quarter, they actually they have blacksmithing in here, they sing music, and they have shows in here. But you ain't to work. They take you from building to building. All that, about 2 acres. Very nice, you know. Let me ring that bell. All right, welcome aboard. My name's Mark. I'm Charlie Dub. Let's roll out here onto the main street, and let me tell you about the fort. First off, that's the British flag on the fort. It only has a Spanish flag. Now, if you couldn't see the Spanish flag, back in 1695, when they completed this fort, now this is the oldest stone masonry fort operated by the National Park Service, and it was all white. Look at the paint. That fort was pure white with red ends. And they were the superpower for about 300 years. So 1695, now they started laying stones to build this fort in 1672. So that is the oldest stone masonry fort operated by the National Park Service. And a lot of people look at the opening out here, they think the came into that opening. That opening wasn't here until 1940. So the Army Corps of Engineers actually dredged that opening out. The pirates and the British came in south of here, 50 miles. Down by Marina, there's an inlet called Port Mathias River Inlet. That's where everybody entered. They sailed up this way to attack our city. And the British Governor Moore out of South Carolina, he actually attacked this fort in 1702. For 51 days, the city was under siege. But he wasn't able to take the fort, and he just said, because they got a fit of rage, he stepped ashore where the British was, and he just set everything on fire. So this all took place 1702. Oh, by the way, anybody like breakfast? Right here to your right, we have Mary's Harbor View Cafe. Delicious breakfast right here. This is number 6. What is check in here, number 6? This is Bayfront. Welcome. Looks like we got some new friends joining us here in number 6. But yeah, that's one of our best breakfasts right here on the corner. Mary's Harbor View Cafe. Meehan's really good. The Irish pub's good food. And then Harry's Seafood just down the street here. That's really good. Harry's is delicious food. Let me ring that bell for you. Alright, nobody else on off. Let's roll forward here. What I'm going to do, so remain seated, everybody. Keep all body parts inside and no smoking, vapor, consumption of alcohol. What I'm doing, swinging out, I want to make sure the alley's not blocked before I turn down here. I don't want to be stuck down here. 30, 40 minutes wouldn't be fun to be stuck in this alley. Let me check to make sure nobody's here. Yeah, we're looking good. So let's cut down. This is Hippolyta Street. You notice all the streets off the bay are curved at the first block and they're narrow? Well, that was intentional because what the Spanish are trying to do is funnel the airspeed down these narrow channels, hoping that they would pick up airspeed, and it did. And before that, the Spanish, they have a open cover fire going in. They had smoke drifting through every room in the house. They learned this from the natives here, how to keep the mosquitoes out. They weren't really good on that, but the problem they had, drove out the children also. They had a high infant mortality rate here. That's right, here's a curve. So as the airflow picks up, goes down these narrow channels, be able to knock the smoke out. See, the Spanish didn't have glass windows, they had cheesecloth. So the British brought the sash glass windows. And notice here to your left, everyone, on Charlotte Street, do you notice there's no doors on the street side? You got to go in through the courtyard. You know that Spanish decided that. The Spanish didn't like doors on the street. When the British, they came in, they cut right through the walls, like here to your right, they put doors in. The British would have sash glass windows. The British had the chimneys. Yeah, the Spanish never had chimneys. The British brought those in. And then the British would use wood on the second floor. If you look to your left, that window's called Rayos, that'd be your Spanish-style window. But they use cheesecloth on the inside of those wood bars. The wood bars kept out the pirates and the possums, and the cheesecloth kept out everything else, really. Let me stop here. This is going to be number 7. This is Hippolyta at St. George. Yeah, this is the busy pedestrian walking mall. So this is the second stop. There's one more stop. We're going to stop here at 14 coming up. We'll be on the other end. And we're here every 15 minutes all day long. Every 15. Yeah, just board it. Now, if you board at the same stop, you won't miss any of the tour. It's all the same all day. Yeah. You guys have a great day. Now, the Columbia restaurant's on my right. That's one of our famous Spanish foods. Makes delicious food. I love it. To the right, we have a free attraction called the St. Claudius Greek Orthodox Shrine. The Greek Orthodox Shrine is also known as the Admiral House. It is free, so if everybody wants to walk in here, check that out. They're doing an Instagram selfie, so we're going to wait on the selfie here. And there we go. All right, so let's ring that bell. As soon as we get these folks out of the way here, we're going to ring that bell. All right, there's the bell. everybody, we are rolling underway, so remain seated, keep all body parts inside. And no smoking, vaping, or consumption of alcohol. The latest attraction in our city is right here to your left. Now that's open at 10 o'clock at night. It's called the Medieval Torch Museum. So right here, that's one of the very few attractions open late. Now, behind the restaurant called the Columbia, that's right here on your right for water fountains. Beautiful restaurant. Delicious food. Behind the restaurant is called the Menorcan Quarter. Now the Menorcans were from the island of Menorca. The island was in the Mediterranean Sea. It's by Spain. So the British brought them over here in 1768 and to run the Andrew Turnbull. The Andrew Turnbull indigo plantation. That was down in Smyrna, Florida, but the problem they had the indigo plantation was a miserable failure. And the British managers actually left them there to starve to death. And over 400 of them died of famine and disease. So their leader, Father Major Gibbs, he actually petitioned the British governor here, Robert Tonin. This is in 1777, so the Menorcans moved in right here. The governor gave them asylum. Now, if it wasn't for the Menorcans, I couldn't claim, we would not be able to tell you where the oldest city. Because they were here when the Spanish left, they were here when the British left. You know, and then the original city ended here, 22 blocks. This was the end of St. Augustine on the Spanish patrol. Then the Gilded Age. We have a man named Henry Morrison Flagler. He arrives here. And he visits on his second marriage, his honeymoon. And he decided to build a hotel here, the Ponce de Leon. We're going to take a look at that in just a little bit. But before he could build the hotel, he had to move a church. One of the churches was next to his property. They didn't want to sell. So Henry Flagler sat down with the congregation of the Methodists, and he told them, I'm going to build you a brand new church. I'm going to give it to you for free, but I need in turn, I need the property where you're at. And I'm going to show you where that property was at. Everybody look to your right. Henry Flagler would give this beautiful church, 1887, Spanish Renaissance design, poured concrete, first poured concrete church in Florida, 600-pound cedar doors. Look at those doors, huge cedar doors. The arches, all terracotta. The bell tower is still today the largest single piece of terracotta. Now that's all machined in New Jersey. The parsonage, everything was free. Henry Flagler just gave it to him free. $84,000 it cost Henry Flagler. He hired his new young architect named Career and Hastings, young new architects that would design the next church we're going to look at in the both hotels. So we're going to look at. Well, in 1887, the Catholic Church had caught fire. Henry Flagler would give them $50,000. So the Baptists, they see that the Methodists got a new church, the Catholics got their new church. They said, what about us? They didn't even have a church at this time in St. Augustine. So Henry Flagler told them, I'm not building churches for everybody here. I can't do it. But he told them, he said, if you can raise $10,000 within 2 years, I'll donate property to you. You can build your own church. But he said, I don't want a mortgage on the property. So you got to raise the money. You got to raise $10,000 first. They said, okay. They agreed to everything. But he gave them a rule. Henry Flagler told the Baptists, I never want to hear a bell on my day off. So look at this yellow brick church, Romanesque style brick church. 31 pieces of priceless glass. That's Louis Comfort Tiffany glass. And you notice there's no bell on that tower because Henry Flagler said, I don't want to hear that bell. That is St. Augustine's very first Nobel Prize, that yellow brick church. You know, and Henry Flagler, yeah, don't worry, the jokes don't get any better, folks. Right here to the right, behind this beautiful White House, there was a mansion called Kirkside. That's where Henry Flagler lived. It's a beautiful mansion for his second wife, Hyde Ellis, but it burned in 1950. This is all reparceled into smaller 13 lots. This beautiful White House on my right goes back to 1894. James Ingram did not want to work for Henry Flagler until he was given this house for free to become the president of the railroad. That enticed him to come work for Henry Flagler. Now it is part of this church, which comes with a very sad story, emotionally rough like the street here. And I say Henry Flagler's first daughter, her name is Jenny Louise. Well, Jenny Louise had Henry Flagler's granddaughter, her name is Marjorie. Marjorie passed away within hours of being born. Now Henry Flagler's very sad. And his daughter was grieving, she was sick. She didn't do very well at the childbirth, she was very sick. So Henry Flagler, he contacted his son-in-law. Now Henry Flagler, if you don't know, at this time is the richest person in the United States, second in the world, with Standard Oil Trust out of Ohio. He tells his son-in-law, I need my daughter sent here. That's the apple of his eye, his confidence. Send her here. I've got the doctors here, the hospital. I'll get her back to better. Once she's better, I'll ship her back to you up in New York. So his son-in-law says, fine, I'll send her down. She's on the way here. She ended up passing away in the area of South Carolina. So now Henry Flagler was so heartbroken, he wanted this church built in honor of his daughter, Jenny Louise, and his granddaughter, Marjorie. And he told the contractors it has to be built within a year. I won't pay you the full price. They said, okay. So this is stop 8. Now this church here it's a Flagler Memorial Presbyterian Church at $240,000 it costs, over that. And it's poured concrete. I don't know if you can see the lines in the concrete. It's painted. This one's painted. It has a 150-foot copper tower. It is designed exactly like the St. Mark's Cathedral in Venice, Italy. Now, if you're out here in the evening hours, you're out by the bay, that copper tower is all lit up at night. Not only is this church beautiful, it was very expensive and no expense was spared to build it. Henry Flagler was resting here. So he's in the mausoleum on the west side. He's married 3 times. His third wife didn't want to live here. She wanted to live in Palm Beach, Florida. Now, he was 71 when he married his third wife. She was 34. Now, they did marry for love. It wasn't for money, but she wanted a 100,000 square foot mansion down in Palm Beach. So when Henry Flagler moved there to his last house he lived at, he got into a fight with the politicians, an argument. He didn't have his way down there like he did here. And so he said, you know what, I'm going to be resting here. So that's why his mausoleum's here, not at his last house down in Palm Beach, which is a beautiful mansion still down there. It's from 1901. It's the Flagler Museum house, beautiful. And that's where his rail car is on display. But right here to your right, as I turn, I'm going to turn slowly. I'm going to ring that bell. Let's stop, if no one's going to get off here. We'll turn slowly. Once you look at the front, you can just see that he told the contractors, I don't care what the cost is. If you can get the materials here, first off, I'll pay for everything. Just design it, build it, I'll pay for everything. And they did. That's why I'm going to turn. You'll look at the front side, beautiful rock work. Let's ring that bell. So this is number 8, and say thank you, sir. Everybody remain safe, keep all body parts inside, and no smoking, vaping, or consumption of alcohol. Now, if you flew over this church, and it's in the shape of a cross, it's just beautiful, even inside and out. The only problem is it's only open on Fridays. That's the only time you can go inside. But you're welcome. Everybody's welcome to walk around the entire outside of this church. It's beautiful. Now, the man that, the designers, the architects, Career and Hastings, John Career, Thomas Hastings, also designed this church and then these 2 hotels we're going to look at. Look at the power plant here to your left. That was designed by Thomas Edison of Edison Electric. That was Henry Flagler's friend in New York. And he oversaw all the electrical work here. Now, this is the first structure, the Ponce de Leon Hotel, to have electricity in every room. Nobody ever tried to do such a thing. And running water. No, I mean, that's the first structure ever to be designed initially this way. So January of 1888 opens up. It's a great success, 450 rooms. And it was for the rich and famous. You had to pay by the season. You're talking Christmas to Easter. And you had to pay the full amount up front, or you weren't going to be. You had to be invited by Henry Flagler, first off. And people like Charlie Chaplin stayed here, the Vanderbilts, J.P. Morgan, the Carnegies. Who else? Some of the rich. Mark Twain stayed here. Babe Ruth, the baseball player, had stayed here at one time. I looked right. The red bricks. Henry Flagler wanted to build this out of red bricks. Now he couldn't get the bricks here. We didn't have the transportation system to haul freight, and that's what prompted him to buy the railroads here. The same year. He started working on this November of 1885. Look at the second floor. Does everybody see the palm logs on the second floor? 130 years old. This is made out of long-lasting materials. Henry Flagler would not build this out of wood. He wanted something that didn't burn. Now, the architects, Career and Hastings, the same young architects. This is their first great success, the Ponce de Leon, in 1885. Tommy Hastings later was the architect of the New York City Public Library. If anybody's been there, or anybody been to the Tomb of the Unknowns. In Arlington National Cemetery, that's Tommy Hastings, the amphitheater there is his. Let's turn right here. 5 sitting presidents stayed here for free in 1888 and after. The 5 sitting presidents had a free, and every president in office had an open invitation to stay here for free. Only 5 took up that offer. Teddy Roosevelt had stayed here, Grover Cleveland, McKinley Warren. The last one was LBJ. This hotel stayed open until 1967. And if you look to right, you might see the glass windows that around you is the dining room hall. Now, the glass windows, Flagler College bought this in 1968, and they opened it up, the Flagler College. And look at those windows. They said, you know what, they're valued at over $130 million. The insurance says that's all we're going to build or pay you, but they're priceless. And if you notice, they're all covered. That's plexiglass over the glass. The jail was to your left, right here on your left. And you can kind of see Henry Flagler's guests complained about the prisoners working around the outside of the jail. So Henry Flagler told St. Johns County, we got to get the jail. We have to move the jail. I can't have it here. They said they don't have the money. He says, I'll pay you to move the jail. I'll give you $10,000. And they moved it up to stop 1 where it is today. Now the ceilings, we have ceilings in here that are painted by this famous artist named George W. Maynard. This is 1887 when he painted the ceilings here. Well, he's the same artist that painted the Library of Congress. Same murals that are here at the Library of Congress. So essentially the originals are inside here. And you can actually see the murals if you take the tour. You can walk in the lobby and see the inside. Oh, it's beautiful inside. So let me turn around. Here's the front side of the hotel. The Ponce de Leon Select. This was so successful. It was so successful that the hotel across the street was opened the same year. Now, does everybody see the water fountain in front of the Alcazar Hotel? That is where the Methodist Church sat, right there. That church is only worth $4,000, but Henry Flagler cost him nearly $100,000, the Methodist Church, to move that church. And he paid $84,000 to build a new one. He gave him another $10,000. What's you remind everybody? Look inside that lobby. It is free. Everybody can walk in that lobby for free. That's as far as you can go. So it's inside. It's beautiful inside. Now everybody learned about poured concrete from the man that lives across the street. Now Franklin W. Smith was the architect that designed this house here. He designed this house across the street, and he learned about poured concrete in Europe. So he experimented with that method here. And he taught every contractor how to mix this concrete. Now this become the first of two structures in America learned by this man here. And he taught everybody how to mix this concrete. He used coquina rock, so instead of sand and gravel like we use today, he used coquina crushed rock inside. You see the baby seashells in this concrete mix. Now this is 5 years before the Ponce de Leon. This is 1883. Okay, and you notice here tonight, everybody see the pictures. Yeah, Franklin Smith, some of those are, that's the Christmas display that's on display in there. They got the antiquities all on display. It's beautiful inside. But 1911, Abraham Salem actually bought this house. He turned it into the Zareta Club. So in 1911, in the 1920s it was a club, and then it became a museum in 1933. So it is still a museum today. It's beautiful inside. And this is going to be stopped now. This will be the only stop that I cannot ring the bell. And they agreed that we don't ring the bell here in this little neighborhood. So because of the walls, it echoes pretty good here. So this is stop now. If anybody wants to exit, you can ding ding. I just say ding ding. Or meow. Joe, is a rug inside made out of cat here. There's a rug that's 2,400 years old. Beautiful rug. It's from the Egyptian pyramids. Now, so Abraham Salem, who bought it in 1911, he was a collector of fine rugs and antiquities from Egypt and the Middle East and Europe. And a lot of that's on display in the Egyptian room. There's also a mummified foot from the pyramids, 2,400 years. There's also furniture. There's one of the chairs left. Henry Flagler purchased furniture from Pottier and Steinmetz, famous New York furniture builder. President Ulysses S. Grant, after the Civil War, furnished the White House with the same furniture. So Henry Flagler used the same furniture company. One of those chairs was taken. It's on display in the Via Zareta. It's out here. So if you ever have time, there's all kinds of antiquities. Beautiful. Now, the hotel across the street had 4,000 light bulbs illuminating. It had the largest collection of light bulbs ever seen. And people loved it. They flocked down from New York and Boston, where Henry Flagler lived. And they all flocked down. 450 rooms. Also, it did so well that the hotel across the street was used as the overflow. But the hotel across the street was by the day, not by the night. And then this is more the common person. So we'll roll out here. It looks like nobody's going to exit here. So let's just say ding, ding. We are going to roll, everyone. So we'll roll forward, let this person cross the sidewalk, then we'll roll out. So same thing, just remain seated. We're going to roll out into the street here. And then keep all body parts inside. No smoking, vaping, or consumption of alcohol. Now, the hotel was a great success. But, you know, we got bad reviews the first year. What the guests said in New York City was, our city's boring at night. Yeah, they're from New York and Boston. They used to late night theaters and dining. They said there's just none of that. We didn't have that here. People here go to bed early at night. They don't stay open. We didn't have anything open late. So, I'm going to have to squeeze out here because they won't let me out if I don't. There we go. That's very nice. So Henry Flagler told his guests in New York City, where he lived on Fifth Avenue, he told his guests, he said, look, I'm building my new hotel. And this hotel is going to have gambling, a casino. We're going to have a bowling alley, hot tubs, and spas. You know what I'm saying? It was the fun hotel. And if you know what I mean by fun, a lot of fun would take place in the back of the Alcazar. I'm going to show you where the fun took place. Just down here. Now, that was in 1888. This is within 11 months. Within 11 months, the Alcazar opened up. Let me see what these guests are doing here. There you go. They need to cross. Yeah, so you're all not going to go inside their opening of the Y'all are welcome to go inside that lobby. It is free to walk in that lobby and the courtyard. Beautiful. Same thing with the courtyard over here to your right, the Alcazar. There's a koi fish pond inside here to your right. I'm telling you, it's beautiful inside. You got to check it out. Now you got to pay to go into the backside of the hotels, the original hotels. Again, the church sat right there at that water fountain. Beautiful little church, a little wooden rickety church, $4,000. Henry Flagg removed that. Now this man named Otto Leitner, he visited here in 1947. Both of these hotels to the right went bankrupt in 1932. The Casa Monica was the Cordova. They were owned by the same company. Alcazar closed 1932 during the Depression. Otto Leitner visited our city on vacation. This is 1947. He actually bought the Alcazar. He believe he bought the entire property for $150,000. Everything. The Alcazar, the entire front, those blocks, everything, $150,000. He remodeled everything, and he opened up his museum called the Leitner Museum in the backside. He was the publisher of Hobbies Magazine up there in Chicago. And he told the city of St. Augustine, he said, you know what, if you'll agree to keep my museum open, I'm going to give you everything for free. The museum, the hotel, the property, everything. They said, okay, you got a deal. So it says 1948, you left that city hall and you left. And that's Pedro Menendez. That statue was actually donated by the city of Avila, Spain in 1972. That's that statue to your left. So it looks like we got some more friends waiting here. I see some friends looking to wait. Look like they need a trolley ride. So what am I doing? I see you got your ticket. Yeah, I'll check it out later. Just keep that with you. I see that keep yours. So this is stop 10. If anybody wants to exit board, keep your tickets with you because we are going to look for them later. They don't trust drivers with stickers. Yeah. But somebody else will come up to you and say, where's your sticker? You say, I got a ticket right here. And they'll give you stickers. But yeah, so 1888, January to the right, Ponce-Niva, that opens up. Great success. So well, it's doing so well. Henry Flagler starts with this hotel. And the architects, Corrier and Hastings, they told him, look, there's not enough room to put all the, there's not enough to put as a pool, put enough in here. So the entire backside of this hotel is where the fun took place. And that brought a lot of guests back because Henry Flagler told them in New York, he said, look, I want back. And this is by the day to your left. This is more like $2 a night. And if you paid the money to stay across the street for free, you can walk over here. That was the deal. You paid, it was up to $9,000 per season over here to your right. And that's like $250,000 in today's money. So they were happy to come back the next year. And it sold out for many years. This hotel did great. Let's bring that bill here. I don't see anybody else exit boarding. So here we go, everybody. We are rolling. Same thing as remain seated. Keep all body parts inside and no smoking, vaping, or consumption of alcohol. I want to mention too the hotel to the right. Every room in this hotel, the Ponds, had a unique design. Not one room was the same. It was all designed by this architect. His name is Bernard Baybeck out of San Francisco. If anybody's been to the Marina District in San Francisco and seen the Palace of Fine Arts, you know that structure looks like the Coliseum, that's his work. But he designed every room to be different so that every time you came back, you had a different experience when you returned to the Ponce de Leon. And again, the guests were scared of electricity. I mean, they had guests here. They had butlers. Everyone had their own butler, and they had switchers. They had people to turn the light switches on and off. They weren't going to touch those light switches. This is all in 1888. So this side right here, this had 300 rooms on this side, which is now City Hall. By the day, all the fun took place back here, like the hot tubs and the saunas. If you walk inside Leitner Museum, there's collections, there's paintings, there's furniture, all from Otto Leitner. Otto Leitner, he bought during the Depression. When people are dead broke, he just filled a warehouse. And they're all inside here. Here's where the pool's at. Now, ladies, you didn't swim in the shallow end. This is the shallow end around here. You swim in the deep end. That was Henry Flagler's rule about money. He said, I want ladies to trade water. It was more dignified to be in the deep end. Plus, he didn't want the women gossiping about the men's business they'll see because the men were smoking cigars, talking business on this side. And ladies, you didn't play tennis back here where the cars are at because it wasn't dignified. You had played badminton back here, and we had the new thing called bicycles, new invention. So you actually had a license to ride your bicycle, and that took place here where the building's at, in this little corner here. This is on Christmas Day, 1888, the Gilded Age. Now, let's go back a little bit. We're going to go into Lincolnville. Now, this neighborhood's 45 blocks today. But after the Civil War is over, 1866, the emancipated slaves started the community right here. This intersection I'm going to turn at Washington and Bridge. And if you look to your left, if you keep looking, you'll see a church to my left. There's a yellow church with a new metal roof on it. Well, it's the St. Mary's Baptist Church. Well, in 1964, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke in that church. He had no choice, he had to. And he spoke in this church on my right, the Trinity Independent. Why he say he had no choice? It was against the law for the black community to even congregate outside. So if you want to talk civil rights, he went into the church to discuss civil rights. Dr. Robert B. Hailing, our first black dentist in Florida, worked here to your left since 1960. Now, it's called the Accord Civil Rights Museum. That's the first civil rights museum in America. Now, Dr. Robert Hailing is referred to as the father of the civil rights movement. This intersection is referred to as the cradle of the civil rights movement because Dr. King, he had meetings with Dr. Robert Hailing, and you and Ambassador Ames Young, many of the leaders met here. Miss Cora Tyson, you know, she still lives right here to your left. Now, look at the phone number below the Freedom Trail. There's 31 markers. Dr. King stayed in Miss Cora Tyson's house. She had the good sense to say, hey, sign my Bible. All the leaders in our city signed her Bible. Well, that's all on display in that museum. And Miss Cora Tyson, again, is still living here at 99 years old. And she's on the Freedom Trail. The Freedom Trail, what that is 31 self-guided markers in our city. Many of them right here in this neighborhood. You call the phone number, you will actually hear Dr. Robert Hailing's voice. He passed away in 2015. But he was instrumental in helping to pass the Civil Rights Act that same year, 1964. Many streets across the United States are named after Dr. MLK. We know that if you travel anywhere in the United States. But this one here is named after him. This has a unique distinction because he marched on this street. It's in his name. The only other street in his name that he marched on is in Atlanta, Georgia. By the way, to the left is a Lincolnville Museum, very nice museum, just 2 blocks down. That's where the fingerprint cards of Dr. King is on display. When he was arrested in this city here. Look to your right, 102 Bridge. That is owned by Thomas Jefferson's great-granddaughter. She owned that house, so it's referred to as the Jefferson House, but now it's a restaurant called The Preserve. And it's a highly rated food. Now, you got a picture, there was only one house in this neighborhood before the Civil War. This is an orange plantation. None of these homes are here except for this one here. This was the very first commercial orange plantation in the state of Florida. Now, it was called the Yalaha Plantation. And if you look it up, it's been under work, been under repair for about a year and a half. Beautiful house, hopefully, when they finish it. But the Yalaha was owned by Peter DeMoss. And Yalaha means orange in Seminole Indian. And Peter DeMoss, here's the clerk also at the county courthouse. Now this neighborhood, 45 blocks, is one of the largest collections of Victoria-era homes all in one location in Florida, by far. And this street here is called Riberia. This is where all the factories are at. This would be our industrial street. During the heavy flag, we would have a lumber yard here to your left. We would have boats unloading here, shrimp boats. So today we do. Look to your left there, by the way, this restaurant here is highly rated. This is called the Fish Camp. Really good food here to your left. And you can eat here if you exit the next stop. It's just a short half block here. Now, they would unload shrimp and fish, and they had to pack it in ice. We didn't have refrigeration in 1900. So the power plant was on the parking lot to your left. Look to your left, everyone. So there's the power plant. Now it's gone as a coal-burning power plant. But they ran water, distilled water through the power plant, and they transferred it to this building here. So this is now our distillery and gift shop and restaurant. But the distillery, or the ice plant, actually froze the water. It made perfect ice because they would have no air bubbles. They used ammonia compressors right here to your left. So they flash froze that water. And they produced up to 100,000 tons of ice here a day. Very important for our city. No refrigeration. Henry Flagler's hotels are by the ice from this location here. And this truck on my right was actually used here in 1948 to deliver ice. That's used as a storage vehicle now. But right here to the left is your gift shop. Upstairs is your restaurant called the Ice Plant, which is very good food here too. Now, a lot of people love this stuff because we have a free self-guided tour. You don't have to wait on any guides. And they'll answer any questions you have, but when you're done, you get free samples. They have bourbon, they have whiskey, rum, and vodka and gin. And it's a very popular stop here. Now, where are you going to enter to start your free tour? The door in the corner down here is where you start your tour. So you can actually eat inside the Ice Plant restaurant on the other side, or the fish camp to the right, which is just a half a block. So I'm going to ring that bell here if anybody wants to eat. You can just step off backwards here. Remember, just always step down backwards. Just take your time, everybody. And we're here we're going to be here every 50 minutes all day.
Thanks, man. You're awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, yeah. Yeah, this is stop 11. This is the St. Augustine Distillery. And I let my boss know we do have room on the trolley, so we're good to go. This is Mark. I got 9 open rows here at 11. Yeah, we're looking good. We're going to go to the winery next. Yeah, we got some guests. Yeah, take your time. Don't run. We're good. We're good. Beautiful day. There's no rush here. We're in no rush. We got plenty of time.
Party.
Yeah, we're going to have party. Did you do the tour?
Yeah.
Was it good? Isn't it good?
Oh yeah, it's good.
It's got some good samples. Every time I see people leave, you have big smiles. I drop you off, you're like, yeah, but come on, big smiles.
That's awesome.
Every time. It's got to be the tour, right? Not the rum. We got some more guests coming behind me. Since we got plenty of room, I don't want to leave them here in case the next bar is full. And then from here, we're all going to the winery. And I'll tell you about the street here. One more, I'm going to tell you about one more building. Pretty good story on that. Alrighty, well, looks like we got everybody, so I'm going to ring that bell. So, you know, when you hear the bell, you got to remain seated. You got to remain seated and keep all body parts inside. And no smoking, vaping, or do something about it. I'm turning right like that to keep cars from passing me here. While I'm making an exit. There we go. And we're going to roll that onto the street. And then I'll tell you about one more building on the street here. So there's only 2 buildings left from the industrial. This had all kinds of factories here, packing plants. But the cigar factory down here is a yellow brick building. It's historical because Henry Flagler actually loved these cigars, advertised them on his advertisements in magazines and newspapers, and he gave them to his guests for free. The Soya Carcaba Cigar Factory, designed after the ones in Tampa, Florida, exact same factory designer. So that's from 1908, that yellow brick building. And they only hired women to work here. Only women worked at that plant. Now, here's why. Ladies, when you're looking at a tobacco leaf, you can actually discern the colors better than men. So the cigars will taste better. And also, ladies, you have magic in your fingers. You can roll a tighter cigar. You have smaller fingers. You have better motor dexterity. So no men were hired to work here at first. And here's what happened. The owner signed the contract, and I don't think he had a math class because he had to roll 4,000 cigars a day. That was his contract. He agreed to it. But he could never keep up. And the women, as they're working, they're gossiping, they're talking, having a good time. That's 12-hour shifts. That's a long time to roll cigars day and night. So the owner started reading stories out loud, like love stories, novels. And it worked so well that the ladies were listening to the stories. They rolled more cigars. It was a new modern method. And the ladies did so well that the owner did hire men. So every lady in that factory had a man sitting next to her in a chair. And men, your job, don't laugh, your job was to read love stories 12 hours a day. Either love stories, novels, gossip poems, magazines, whatever the ladies wanted to hear. And the men that would end up saying they had the hardest job at that factory. And you know, that's hard for men because men don't want to read love stories. That's 12-hour shifts at night. That's a long night. So that all took place. That worked very well here until 1930. In 1930, they would close during the Depression after the stock market crash. Now, I told you Henry Flagler, when he starts building the hotel, the Ponce de Leon, the first thing he realized, there is no transportation here. To be able to haul his guests down here, they had to take horse and carriage from Jacksonville. And he couldn't get the freight shipped down here soon enough to build a hotel. So, he would buy the 3 short rail lines in Northeast Florida. And what he did, he consolidated the companies. And he pulled all the tracks up. And he put down the standard gauge rail that they use in New York and Boston, all the way from Jacksonville to St. Augustine, Florida. And yes, they love this because they own their own fancy Pullman cars. These rich guests, they can bring their fancy car from New York or Boston straight here. Now, the train rail yard is right here. The train station was in the intersection where the lights are at. And this would be a big rail yard. I'm going to show you the 4 buildings that are left. There's only 4 of the buildings that are from the railroad. Now, the rest of them are built. The modern buildings. Put your left there, buddy. There's the Whetstone Chocolate Factory. By the way, if you want to take the tour, they are open at 3:30. The last tour is at 3:30. And if you ever seen that movie, Willy Wonka, the Chocolate Factory, like I have, and it seemed like everyone was in trouble from sampling chocolates off the machines. Well, not here. You get to sample all the chocolates you want. And they give you a free hairnet. I think that's a pretty good deal. So a nice hairnet, free samples off the machine, delicious chocolates. They have 4 artists, and they're going to let me over. It's nice. Very nice of them. They're going to let me over. They're going to let these folks over. How you doing? You're welcome. Thank you. Oh yes, it's gonna be busy. Oh, yes. So I'm gonna point here. Now this building on my right was from the railroad. This was used by the railroad up to 2000, the Florida East Coast Railroad. Now this is the winery since 2000, the San Sebastian Winery. And we're gonna pull up in here. And it looks like we got some more friends ready to join us. They have a free tour here for everybody. I'm telling you. They love Old Town Charlie customers. You walk in that open door and you start your tour right there where that door is wide open. Let me ring that bell for everybody right here. This is going to be number 12 and 13. If anybody wants to exit backwards, just take your time. But you walk in here, you can exit here and walk over to the chocolate factory. Or you got to pay for that tour, but I'm telling you, the samples are delicious. You get to eat all the chocolates you want. And then you get the hairnet, and you get you a cup of coffee while you're there, an espresso, or gelato, which is delicious. Now, if you want to take the tour and you want to check out Whetstones on St. George Street, they got another store right on the north side. Delicious. And the Whetstone, Henry Whetstone was an inventor. He actually invented machines. They still use his process. Other big name companies, like some of the biggest names in chocolate, use his same inventions. So you know he has some good fudge and chocolates in here. We got a free tour here. They got a restaurant here called Cellar on the Roof. It's open only Sunday. Thursday through Sunday. It's called Cellar Roof, the second floor. Oh, by the way, tonight, if you have time, eat like on the roof here. You see the lights up here? It's beautiful. Watch the boats. Because a lot of these boats have Christmas lights on. It's beautiful watching them out here come back and forth through the San Sebastian River. Looks like I got everybody here, so I'm going to ring that bell. I think we're good. Let's ring that bell. There we go, everybody. Wheels are in motion, so remain seated. Keep all body parts inside. And no smoking, vaping. There's no consumption of alcohol unless you want to share with everybody on board. That's the rule. And but make sure to hold on to those packages. Keep them on the inside of the trolley, not the outside. I've seen them slide off, it's sad, when they hit the ground. But I also want to mention something. While I'm here, do not, if you bring your car back here like a lot of guests do, they take the tour, they go, let's park here, you know, we got free parking. You can do that, but don't go through these stop signs. And you see what's across the street, that's our police station. Don't do it. Don't roll through the stop sign. I'm going to tell you right now, you're welcome. Because you're going to thank me later when you visit. I'm going to save you a lot of heartache. Because they know you've had a couple of drinks in here. And if you're rolling through the stop sign, you don't want to be stopped right here at the light. Like, it happens pretty much every week. So we'll turn left here. Now, the police station, they had a place in here. Are you looking for the trolley?
No, not yet.
What are you looking for?
The winery.
That right there, see that big door that's open? That's your free tour and free samples. They're waiting for you right now, yeah.
But then we'll be picking the trolley up.
Yep, just wait out there. Wait out there. We're gonna be here. We're gonna be here all day.
All right.
Every 15 minutes, all right? Yeah, have a great time. Let me let this one car see where they're going. Yep, we're good to go. There we go. Now the police station was placed here because, picture this, our two most valued assets in the city. What do we have? Wine and chocolate. You have to put the police station here. Because the pirates actually breaking in at night. They're breaking in after dark. And once they placed the police station here, that ended all that. Now the pirates are still here, but they're back down by the marina. Before, look at this, we had a big hospital here. On your right, picture this big hospital, 4-story building called the Florida East Coast Hospital. These three buildings to the left were part of the headquarters to the railroad. The train station was the third building on the end. So Henry Flagler, this is an entire rail yard here, Florida East Coast Railroad, this entire left side. All of Henry Flagler's guests would be on the D-board here with they'd come off the train. He'd pick them all up, horse and carriage, bring them down this street here. All his employees, yeah, Henry Flagler was the #1 employer in our city with the railroad and the hotels. Well, we didn't have adequate hospital, so he paid for the hospital to be placed here. Now, his really good friend was a doctor here, Dr. Anderson Jr., Andrew Anderson Jr. I'm going to show you where he lived at. He lived just down the street here. Dr. Andrew Anderson. He was the owner of the Marginal Plantation. I'm going to show you his house coming up. But he worked right here in the hospital, much bigger building at one time. And he's a doctor. Dr. Anderson Jr. was really good friends with Henry Flagler. He's the one that looked at Henry Flagler's second wife. You know, he had 3 wives. His second wife, allegedly, Henry Flagler said she tried to kill him. And the doctor, Anderson, that worked here, he said, yeah, she tried to stab him with a pair of scissors. I think she's insane. We got to send her to New York City. She was sent to New York City in 1895. She's never seen again. She spent her entire life in the insane asylum up in New York City when she passed away. But yeah, Dr. Anderson, he lived out here in the Marginal Plantation. Let's look at that house coming up next. Now this street here, this is the first street to be paved in our city. And I'm talking pavers, not have blacktop. We didn't have blacktop in this town yet. So let me not block the intersection. I'm gonna stop before. Let me make sure it's clear. And then I'll roll through. So this street here was paved by Henry. Henry Flagler financed the paving. The guests complained about it. You know, coming out of New York and Boston, they didn't like dirt streets. It's either muddy, it rains almost every day in Florida. So it's either muddy or dusty. So Henry Flagler said, I'll pave this whole street, I'll take care of it. Yes, love that. So King Street, the main street. Now King Street was also the street I'm on. This is the dividing line signature plant. 2 orange plantations. The one on your right was the Yamaha. Everything to the right, just blood red oranges. We're famous for blood red oranges worldwide for the oranges that are grown here. But we had 3 freezes that destroyed the crops. The devastating one was 1894. And that devastated Henry Flagler because he was loading his trains from here back to northeast with oranges. So the orange crops died. He didn't know what to do. He would have empty trains going back. Couldn't make money doing that. Until a lady down in Miami sent them orange blossoms. Says, hey, we'd like you to build a hotel and train down here. He said, So he started running the rail south of here down to Ormond Beach, Daytona, Palm Beach. Well, the Wellevue, that's why they wanted to live, was Palm Beach. They didn't like St. Augustine, just too cold for them. But you left everybody. Everybody see the Marco Plantation? Isn't that beautiful? That's owned by Flagler College. That's why it's in beautiful condition. Those are administrative offices today. But that's from 1838. Can you imagine? 1838. Dr. Anderson and his wife Clarissa would start that house. Now, Dr. Anderson passed away of yellow fever. So the yellow fever epidemic, it caught Dr. Anderson, so he passed away. And their son later, the Anderson Jr., I was telling you about, the good friends with Henry Flagler, he's the one that told Henry Flagler when he visited, he said, hey, build your hotel down here, I'll sell you the property. He really encouraged them to build a hotel, thought it would be great. And again, they were really good friends. So when he committed Henry Flagler's second wife, I don't think there was any conflict of interest there. Right? None there. But yeah, he sent his wife away. And then his third wife, she didn't like it here. It's just too cold. That's why she didn't build anything here. Now, everything she left was called the Model Land Company. They owned 2 million acres. And they were dissolved in 1967. But this is going to be for the rich and famous to left, like the American Riviera, the Newport of the South. But again, this is already parcel of the more modest homes that you're seeing here. And the man, the man that lived in the Franklin Smith, Franklin had an argument with Henry Flagler in the hotel. As a matter of fact, there's a room called the Gentleman's Room. Franklin Smith was with him in the hotel, drinking scotch, smoking cigars. Franklin Smith told Henry Flagler, he said, I'm going to build my own hotel. And Henry Flagler was really upset about that. And the reason for that was, Henry Flagler said, why would you want to compete against me in this city? I mean, I built the railroad. I built these hotels. I brought people here. Franklin Smith, who lived right here to the right, he told Henry Flagler, he was offended. He said, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have a hotel. I showed you how to mix the concrete. So Henry Flagler told him, fine, go ahead and build your hotel. I'll sell your property. He sold that corner lot down here where the Casa Monica's at. And now Franklin Smith was a novice architect. He designed his house and he designed this hotel. This is all 1887 when he built this hotel. But he ordered furniture. What happened? He ordered furniture from North Carolina, has it shipped down on the railroad. And you know who controlled all the transportation from Jacksonville to here? Was Henry Flagler. But Florida East Coast Road says they don't know what happened. All they know is the furniture was lost. So Henry Flagler, he ended up buying this hotel within 5 months during the grand opening. There was no furniture. So it went bankrupt within 5 months. Henry Flagler bought this for $225,000. It's reported that Franklin Smith financed it for nearly $5 million. He didn't have the money. He had to finance everything. And his part was $325,000. He called Henry Flagler, said, can you help me out? I'm going bankrupt. Henry Flagler said, yeah, I'll help you. He bought it for the $325,000. Then he found the furniture right away. He said, I'll take that for half off too. So Henry Flagler owned all 3 of these hotels, 1889, all doing great. And he changed the name of this hotel to the Cordova. He didn't like the name Casa Monica. Well, it failed. You can't use that name. So that's right here to your right, where the Starbucks is. I recommend walking in here too, get your Starbucks. It's beautiful inside there. They got these hand pieces on the wall. It's beautiful. The only hotel still used from the Gilded Age as a hotel. And he said they got parking down in the basement. Go down below, which looks scary to me because of the high water table here. Look to your left, everybody. Does anybody mention the Washington Monument in D.C.? That was designed by Robert Mills. He's the architect. He designed the house here to our left in 1833. Same architect, Robert Mills, famous American architect. But yeah, the governor's been living at that location since 1604. That one there is 1833. I'm looking to the left, but the cannons are real. They're from Fort Erie. They're Civil War cannons. The white monument to the left, everybody look to your left, that's from 1813. Now, Napoleon Bonaparte, you know, he placed his brother, Joseph Bonaparte, as the king of Spain. The Spanish hated being ruled by a French leader. So within 4 years, they brought in a newly formed government under a constitution. That monument was placed there and for that. And the king of Spain ordered that destroyed in 1814. Our city leaders ignored that. So that is the only known monument to exist in the world, that white monument there from 1830. Everybody look to your left. Everybody see the foot soldiers? Now, there was a Woolworths to your right there. We had a diner. And what happened was we had 4 protesters that were arrested, college students. And those represent the 4 warriors of the foot soldiers from the 1964 protest. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called them as warriors. And so they got their backs to the market because that's called the slave market. And the city said, well, no slaves have ever been sold here at that market. But the historian says, well, we think it did happen on the east side. There's no record of it, but there's evidence it did take place. And then that statue on your left, that is the first governor of Puerto Rico to your left. That is Juan Ponce, Don Juan Ponce de Leon. Don because he was the governor. His name was Juan Ponce from De Leon, Spain. And he was shot by the natives. And he was shot by the natives in southwest Florida, by the Calusa tribe. He actually died in 1521, and he's now interred at the Basilica in San Juan, Puerto Rico. But a myth developed after he died that he was looking for the Fountain of Youth. And that's why the park we're going to look at today, 22, is called the Fountain of Youth. Now, everybody look to your right. There was a big hotel here to your right. Now, it's called the St. Augustine Hotel. It had caught fire in 1887. The church down here to the right was actually built in 1797, and it caught fire. Some people think Henry Flagler had something to do with the hotel catching fire because he donated $50,000 to this church here. This is 1887. Then he hired his good friend, James Renwick, was on vacation. James Renwick, if you've not heard his name, he's the architect to the St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City, in the Grace United, the Gothic-style church in New York. He designed the